How's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Long Take. I'm Justyn. I'm here with my good friend Ken. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about top 10 lists for 2015. Finally, it's February. Ken's been ready. I've been playing catch up, but I've finally seen enough to a point where I can kind of form a list. There's still a couple things that I want to see, but we're going to do the first half, 10 through 6, and then on the next episode we'll do 5 through 1. So is that right? Did I get that right?
You are correct, sir.
All right, great.
Yeah, we're going to be recording our list on separate dates, just to be clear, because Justyn wants to catch up on one or two more movies, so he can be more confident in his top 10 list. I gave him the option that, like, if the two movies that he sees, if either of them influence his top 10, he has every right to go back and, redo the list. And maybe we'll, when he does his top 10, when you do number 10, we'll make it number 11. Yeah. It'll be like, number 11. So something like that.
Just go back and dub over. Yeah, that's pretty good. Or it could just be like top 10 2.0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only movie that I really wish that I caught up on, other than I still haven't seen Beast of No Nation, but the other movie is 45 Years with Charlotte Rampling and Tom Courtenay. Mm-hmm. I hope to see that over the weekend. Nice. So maybe that influences the list. Maybe I actually see Beasts, and that influences the list. I don't know, but but we're gonna feel it out. This is kind of like
tentative.
What would you call it? It's simmering. This could be 10 to 6 for sure. Maybe it's not though. I mean, I'm pretty sure my list is pretty final.
It's almost there.
But if 45 years blows me away, I mean, it has been getting rave reviews and everything like that, then who knows?
I've seen it on a pretty good amount of top 10 lists. 45 years is... I've been seeing that title thrown around.
Let's get right into it. Do you want to start?
Sure.
Or should I start?
I'll be honored. To start.
Awesome.
My number 10 is Tangerine. Sean Baker's Tangerine. A day in the life of a transgender prostitute in Los Angeles, trying to get even with your shithead pimp who's cheating on you because you just did a stint in prison. And I don't know, just everything about this movie is wonderful. And it's shot on an iPhone, but you forget that it's shot on an iPhone after the novelty wears off really quick. Like, you're looking at it and it looks like an iPhone at first, but then by the middle of the movie, you're not even thinking about that anymore. And yeah, I fell in love with these two characters, especially the one that Katana Kiki Rodriguez plays. What's her name? Cindy. Yeah, it was just so much fun to. I've never been to California, but now I feel like I've walked the streets of LA just because I'm not sure with this movie. You probably know. Since they were using phones, did they have to get permits and block off streets and use extras, or could they just shoot among people?
I don't think so.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
I think it was guerrilla.
I thought, how cool is that they're just shooting there, like they're walking through the street and she's fucking with these pedestrians and stuff in the beginning of the movie. Yeah, mm-hmm. And when she's trying to bum a smoke, she's talking to probably regular people, not actors. So. That was kind of cool. It kind of reminded me of the French New Wave or something like that with Godard. But yeah, I wasn't sure what I was going to think about this movie. I'd heard really good things, and I was watching with people who just had no idea what the fuck it was. And I was like gonna start trying to explain it, but I was like, let's just watch it. And if we're bored, if we don't like it, we can turn it off. And we didn't. You know, everybody liked it. So, you know, you're not even thinking like these are, and not to get like too, you know, whatever, but you're not thinking about that this is a man dressed as a woman or whatever. You're just like, that's Cindy, and that's what I can't remember what the other character's name was. Alexandra gets to sing her song. You know, it was weird. It was funny, and I loved it. I loved Tangerine.
That's great. Yeah, not quite on my list. Just missed it. But yeah, I agree. It's I would say it's one of the realest depictions of the streets of Hollywood that I've seen.
Yeah.
In at least in recent times, because that's Hollywood. That's what Hollywood looks like. The streets of it, Hollywood Boulevard, you know, Hollywood and Vine, and you know, over by that place, that donut shop. I've driven past that donut shop.
Is that really called Donut Time? This place?
Filmed it.
Is it a real place?
I think so.
That's awesome.
I feel like I recognized it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's that shit. I mean that's what it looks like over there. And you know, the people who aren't like making millions of billions of dollars making movies, you know, people who are just like working the car wash or working the donut shop or working turning tricks or what have you. You know, you see those people around Hollywood.
Speaking of car washes, that car wash scene was something else.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I love like the kind of it kind of bends your expectations as far as like the cab driver. Who is this guy? What, you know?
Yeah.
What exactly is his deal is, and you find out he's actually kind of turned on by these.
He's in love with it. Yeah. He's like he's.
Yeah, he's in love with the one.
He picks up one of the girls, and he's like, "Oh, a new girl," or whatever. And when he finds out that she actually is a girl, he's like, "Get out of my cab!" He feels like he was conned.
Yeah, that sequence in Donut Time, like with he's there and his wife, and his mother-in-law, like that was some stuff. That was it all kind of mixed in together. And what I liked was like I like how the pimp wasn't like your typical bad guy. Like he's not the best guy in the world, and he's probably not a person you should be dating.
Yeah,
I wouldn't let my daughter date him, that's for sure. But he's not gonna shoot anybody. Like he's just a pimp.
He's just a knucklehead.
Maybe he does shoot people. Yeah, but on this particular day, he just wants a donut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I like that. It really took a multifaceted look at these people. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I really felt like I got to know these characters. I really felt like I got to know this world. And I've always said that, like, my favorite kind of movies are movies that take me in a world I've never seen before. I never thought I wanted to see before. And when I come out, I feel like I kind of have a better understanding, you know, at least a little bit of a better understanding of these people than I had before. So, yeah, and it's great to see a movie, you know, starring transgender people, like having multi dimensions to them, and like that is something that really shouldn't have to be said, you know.
Yeah. But
you just don't get that. You don't really get that kind of movie, and the fact that Sean Baker had to shoot it with a iPhone 5 and however else he had to do to make it made, it goes to show you like how hard it is to try to make a movie like this. You know, you have to kind of do it this way in order to pull it off. And so, yeah, I dug it. I dug the soundtrack too of this movie, and you know, I just dug. I liked its style. I liked its whole aura. You know, like just I feel like I kind of got what it was trying to do pretty early on. Like, oh, okay, it's gonna be this kind of movie.
Yeah,
you know, it's a fun indie. It's not like it is nice to see like a movie like Tangerine kind of take a lighthearted approach to these types of these characters and subject matter, and really tackle it in a way that you've never really seen it before. So, yeah, great pick. Overall, I think a common theme with my top 10 is that these are movies that stuck with me, and that was what I had to go with because this was a difficult year to make a list with, and so that was kind of what I had to do. So my number 10 is Heaven Knows What by the Safdie brothers. I think John Safdie and Benny Safdie. It's shifting gears quite a bit because it's about a woman who is a heroin addict.
Yeah.
a 19-year-old heroin addict living in the streets of New York. And it's very simple plot-wise. Benny and Josh Safdie, very simple plot-wise. It's about a heroin addict who roams the streets of Brooklyn, tries to get back with her boyfriend, who's also a heroin addict, and she's just trying to get her next hit of heroin. Mm-hmm. That's really all it's about.
Just her scoring.
But I mean, that's plot-wise, it's what it's all it's about. Yeah. But yeah, just looking for the next score, and it's really it's kind of about being in the head of a heroin addict and knowing like. It's only about that moment and thinking about the future at all. It's really just, what can I do? What can I do to get that next, score?
Just exploring what it's like to be a junkie for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm. The heroin addict, I can't remember what her name is in the movie, but she's played by Ariel Holmes, who, by the way, this is based off her novel. She lived this life.
The girl who plays the character is the girl who lived the life.
Yeah, this was her life.
Oh wow!
And most of the cast are actual heroin junkies.
Fuck.
The only person who isn't is Caleb Jones, who plays Ilya in the movie. That's the love interest. That's her love interest, her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And the reason why he was cast in the movie is because Ilya, the actual person named Ilya, was supposed to be in the movie. But I think he entered rehab, and he couldn't do it.
Oh, okay.
And before the movie was originally released in Venice Film Festival in August 2014. Wasn't released in American theaters until May 2015. Right. Mm-hmm. By February 2015, Ilya, the guy that Caleb Jones, he's a pretty he's been in a lot of movies. He was in X-Men First Class, for example. Ilya died.
He overdosed
of heroin overdose in January 2015.
So that's what I thought you were going to say when you were talking about how he was supposed to be in the movie. I thought you were going to say he passed away before they could start.
No, yeah, that's the thing. That's the crazy thing. They already filmed it, shot it, and released the festivals, and throughout the process of getting it released in America, that's when he died.
Wow.
And so it was early enough that they could put in memory of in the end credits, and it says in memory of Ilya, and the character's name Ilya.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit! You're like, man, because it says January 2015. You're like, wait a minute, it's May 2015. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not over, it's still going on. This isn't a story that has an ending, really, because there's no way for it to have an ending, because these people are still kicking it, and you could find them if you wanted to look in Manhattan. You could find these people.
Yeah, if you just open your eyes.
Except for Ariel Holmes,
you got to know what to look for, right?
Yeah, Ariel Holmes has cleaned up since, and she was able to write the novel.
Yeah.
And the filmmakers, they were a big part of trying to get her to write this novel and try to, and they wanted to adapt this story and everything like that, because they're really interested in her because of just the way she's such a fascinating character to me. In the movie she's Harley, that's her name in the movie, because she's so driven, even if it's not by the most clean of means or whatever you want to say, just in the way that she lives that life, and to see Ariel Holmes it's hard to play yourself in screen. That's the biggest fallacy, right? Is when someone says, "Oh, well, they just played themselves."
Just be yourself.
Yeah. You try it. Put a camera on your face, start acting, and act like yourself. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Unless for a couple people, it's not, though, and it's a rare talent to have. And sometimes a lot of people, they have to grow into that type of mode. You think of not to get too far of course, but George Clooney or Jack Nicholson, they were in the business for years before they got to where they were, and then they were George Clooney was George Clooney, or Jack Nicholson was Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Here's our Ariel Holmes. She's like 19, 20 years old. She fits the mold, She, like, you could that is her. Like, she does a great job of, at least you believe her in that world.
Right.
You believe everyone in this world. From the way it's shot, it has a really documentary like feeling, and the music. Jesus Christ, the music in this movie is insane. It really amplifies things up to another dimension. It's really techno electronic based music, and like the opening credits, for fuck's sake. So the movie like cold opens, right, and this isn't really giving it away, but the lead character slits her wrists and gets sent to the hospital.
Oh boy!
And to rehab. And the opening credits is her fighting with nurses in rehab, and you have her fighting with nurses, the opening credits, and these techno music, and you're like, and I'm sitting in there, and I'm like, what the fuck am I like?
It just rolls in
holy
like just out of nowhere, huh? That's crazy.
Yeah, you're like, holy shit! Like it really hits you.
Yeah,
and like it was like a trance because you don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
You don't know what to expect. And the movie just constantly catches you off guard. Even when you kind of know what's coming, it still catches you off guard. So yeah, I love this film. I definitely recommend seeing it. And it's a small, tiny film that and that's why I like to do lists like this, because I get to talk about it in a big way, and yeah, it deserves to be there on my top 10 in every facet. It's still in me, that experience of watching the film. I saw it at ArcLight Hollywood, which is a weird place to see this movie, and I knew half the people in the theater hated it.
Yeah,
and that's an even crazier experience when people hated it, and you're like, I don't care. What I saw, I've never seen anything quite like this. So that's my number 10. Heaven Knows What by the Safdie brothers.
Shit, you really sold it, man. I really want to see it now. And I think we were talking about anticipating the movies of the year for 2015. And I don't know, you had mentioned this movie, and it reminded me a little bit of just like Panic in Needle Park or something. I was wondering if did it take anything from that, or like was there any inspiration, or was it its own thing completely?
Yeah, there is. I think there is inspiration from that. I don't know. It feels more like on the ground.
Yeah.
Like even more on the ground.
Okay.
And just more more modern. I feel like these are the types of people, like the look of them. I feel like I've seen these types of people like kind of like mall rats in Ocean County Mall back in the late 90s. Like the people that were just kind of hanging around and you didn't really pay attention to.
Yeah.
But they were there. And yeah. Or even when I lived in New York City, like the people, or like when you go to high school, and there's those people who like hang out. They're not doing heroin, but like it's that kind of crowd. Like maybe if they go the wrong way, they can end up like this. It's just, and what's crazy about this movie is just like anybody could die at any moment in this movie. Any of these characters could die. Like there is a life and death feeling to each of these characters in this movie, and that's powerful.
Well, when you open with the main character slitting her wrists, I guess you get that feeling.
Yeah, and again, that's not really giving away.
Right.
The reason why she slits her wrists, you're like, no, come on. It's definitely that vibe to it. So yeah, it's I'm afraid to watch it again.
Oh, boy,
that's what I'll say.
Wow.
I'm afraid.
Is it
I'm afraid.
Not to get to dwell too much on this movie, but just out of curiosity, does it play with time, or is it all just happening now? Like, are there flashbacks or anything like that?
No. It's all very much in the now. I think it jumps a little forward after because the credits are during the rehab,
right?
And then the credits are over, and then it's after rehab. But
gotcha. And that's
I would say it
starts.
makes like a couple of days feel like months. That's what I would say how it plays with time. You're like, wait, did this just take place over the last 3 days? Because it feels like it took place over a long period of time, and I think that's what it was. Obviously, that's what it's going for. Like,
yeah.
When you're in that kind of strung out space, when you don't really get much sleep, a whole day could feel like forever. Just trying to get that next hit. So, yeah, it's again, I because I loved it so much. I wish I would have saw it again. Maybe it would have been even higher, but I'm afraid because it's just because of the way it affected me. And I remember talking to Christina, the bed of my wife, Christina, and Like, I want to see it. Like, I don't know. I don't.
You're trying to protect her from
maybe
it.
sometime.
Maybe when you're older.
You know, because yeah, when you get a little older. All right, Justin. Let's hear your number 9.
Coming in at number 9 for me, it's Room. I don't have kids.
True.
Or anything, and I can't imagine being in a situation even remotely similar to this. But I found myself empathizing with this woman who found the strength. I mean, sure, when the way that they get rescued is she lets her boy go and pretty much do all the work. She trains him because that's their only chance. But the amount of strength it takes to say, I'm going to release you into the world. On faith that you're going to come back. And I'm almost getting choked up right now just thinking
Go ahead, it's okay.
That. It's almost easier. It's definitely easier to be like, you know what? Stay here and we're just going to be here together forever. But she knows that she's got to get out of that situation. She's got to get him out of there. And you know, she's been stuck in that situation for years.
Yeah.
So you think there's no way to get out. So she has to just prepare him for this thing, and the way that it all goes down, he's not ready. It's totally rushed, and it doesn't go as planned. And I can't remember the last time I was watching a movie and I was saying, go! Like, just like, run! What are you doing? You know, it just totally manipulated me. It sucked me in, it had me wrapped around its finger. And it, like, between that and the line that just got, I'm pretty sure anybody who watched this movie started crying when he says, I love you, Grandma. That movie was so powerful. And I don't know, part of me feels like I should give it a second viewing to really accurately judge it and put it in its right place, because I was so enamored by it and so wrapped up in it. But I think it definitely deserves a spot on my top 10 list, because no movie really made me feel that way than other than Room this year.
Yeah, well, I will say that I am a father, and I don't think you need to be a father to empathize with Brie Larson's character, because it's a situation that no one would ever want to be in, and when you know the situation, you're horrified for her and for the child, and yeah, once he's free and he's discovering things for the first time, I won't even save this for next week. I cried I think 15 times during this movie, so yeah, it'll be in my list for sure going forward. And this movie, I'll just briefly say that it could have gone another way. It could have. You said manipulative, but in a good way. It wasn't a way where because it could have gone a way where it's like, oh Jesus, like, come on, give me a break, the way some movies manipulate you, where it's just like, of course, like, this is a situation where of course you would get tearful at, or of course you would get emotional about, because it's a very harrowing situation. But I think Lenny Abramson and Emma. I don't have her name.
Donahue?
The writer who,
Emma Donahue,
who adapted the book for her novel. They did a tremendous job, grounding these characters, really getting you into the minds of these characters and understanding their plight. The movie's kind of broken up into two halves.
Yeah,
and that is impressive in itself, that it's broken up into two halves, but it doesn't feel like it's two separate movies. You know what I mean? It feels so cohesive, and that's impressive, because you're stuck in a room literally for half the movie, and then you're out, but you're not really out. They're not really out, and there's a process involved.
Yeah,
and they have to go through this process in order to function as regular human beings, and that we haven't really quite seen a movie like that before. That really gets to the psychology behind what it's like to be trapped, because when you finally get out, think about Silence of the Lambs, when when Wild Bill, right?
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill. Thank you. When he captures that woman, and she's in the well, and she's free at the end. You know, and you're happy that she's finally free. Jodie Foster saved her. But what about after that? You know, like this movie, Room is about half about what it's like to be in a well of some sort, you know, and the rest of it's about what it's like to be out of it, because it's not all fun and games. It's not, oh my god, I can live again, I'm so happy. It's like, I missed 7 years. I was 18 when I was trapped, and now I'm 25. I lost crucial time of my life, you know. And then you had the 5-year-old who this is all he knows. This is all he knows, and it's just, yeah. I'll talk about it more next week. I think this is going to be, and I can't wait because there's so much to dive into.
Oh sure, yeah, we can save it. I look forward to it. I'm glad it's on your list too.
Yeah, well,
we get a chance to really dive in.
I think what we found. I think why I like doing this podcast is that, like, I'm excited because it's like, oh, I get to talk about that movie even though it's on my list. At least I get to talk about it. You know what I mean? But then, like, there are certain movies where it's like, I when I saw it, I could have guessed that you would have loved it too. Like, I think we really started to figure out. At least I have. I feel like I've kind of figured out you as a movie, as like a curator of movies, like what your taste is like. I think we've really started to figure out what we like, and a lot of it's similar. We have a very similar taste in a lot of ways. With Room, I wasn't surprised that it was on your list because there are some people I think that probably didn't take to it because maybe they found it too harrowing. Maybe you know,
the one criticism that I was kind of surprised by was people thought it was kind of a cheap writing gimmick to put the perspective in the eyes of a child instead of focusing on the more complex adult with Brie Larson's character. You know, you're really in his head,
right?
Because when he gets out, you know, just like, you know, he's the main character really. But I don't know. I didn't buy that because I can't really get too deep into it. But I just thought that was silly to write a movie like that off just because you didn't like the perspective that, you know, the story was coming from. Like that could be a totally different story.
Right.
That's not what this story was.
Yeah.
And, you know, people get all bogged down on like everything that something isn't instead of focusing on what it is.
Yeah. You know, I agree. I mean, I guess I can understand that criticism, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty valid, I guess.
It doesn't hinder it for me at all, you know, because I still think like it's still a unique enough movie. It still has a lot to say, and it's still very complex, you know, even without
totally
being fixated on Brie Larson's character. It's still very complex. And
yeah, watching this movie, I didn't know where it was going to go. Like, I didn't know that like part of this movie was going to be what's it going to be like when they get out. I thought I was going to be in this room with them until they finally escape.
Right.
So when they're planning, when she's rapidly rolling him up in the rug to, you know, give to the guy, I was thinking it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because this movie just started.
Right.
You know, and then lo and behold, like the bigger challenge is adapting to the real world, and like the doctor says, he's still plastic, is I think the terminology that he uses. So he can adapt easier to this new situation. Once Brie Larson's character finally realizes what has happened and what she's lost, and she's got more to focus on other than her kid, because now she's got some help with her mom to raise him, and she sees him like improving, that's when she starts to fall apart. And I don't know, she can kind of let her guard down so that she can focus on herself. And once she does, she loses it, you know? Which is I think that movie goes places that other movies haven't. And yeah, I think to knock it for the perspective, I don't know, that just bothered me.
Yeah. No, I understand. I think, I think there's so many, an overwhelming number of things that this movie gets right, and I think the movie benefits from being from the perspective of the child, because the way he describes Room and the way he, plays in it. I think it would have been. I don't think it would have been as palatable if it was totally Brie Larson's take. I think we would have been able to make it through like the first third. We would have had to have her. We would have had to see her get raped every couple of scenes. You know what I mean? Like maybe oh well, you should show that. And that's that's how it happened. I don't know. I think it's even powerful to know that it's happening, and we're with the child while it's happening. You know what I mean? Like, because he doesn't quite know what's happening to her, but he knows it's bad, and he knows but he doesn't quite know how to process it or handle it. And we still get enough of Brie Larson's character. We still get enough of what she's going through. That when we see her collapse, when we see her, kind of fall apart in the second half of the film, we get it. We understand why. So it's not really. Yeah, I think it's not really a really valid criticism. I understand it in some ways, but it's higher on my list. So obviously, I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. Got some water here. Right. So my number 9. Oh yeah, right. The list. Right. Yeah. Number 9 is a movie that we've talked about before. Believe it or not, and I hope you choose to believe it. We talked about it a while ago. Oh, quite some time. Maybe almost nearly a year ago, in fact. The movie is Alex Garland's Ex Machina at number 9.
Ah.
Right. You got Oscar Isaac. You got Donald Gleason. You have Alicia Vikander. Possible Oscar winner. We'll see. Not for this movie. For a movie that I still haven't seen. I love this film. I mean, we talked about it at length a while ago. Again, it's a movie that when I think back to it, it still gets to me. It still gets to my core. Just the way it unfolds, and from doing these Turing tests to finding out Ava, right? Ava, the AI.
Yeah.
How she kind of manipulates the whole thing, manipulates these men.
She just leaves them, man. She just leaves them. She don't care.
Yeah. She just leaves them behind.
Still kind of messes with me.
And the fact that, her leaving him behind is the difference between this movie being, number 12 or 13 and being 9. It still would have been a great movie, but that, there was, there's such a, this is what happens. And you're like, shit. You're right. That's what it was. I was like, but then also I'm like, damn it, you're right. That's what it would do.
Exactly.
Of course she would do that.
Exactly.
You want him to live because you like the idea of him living, but when you think of in her shoes, it's like, why? Why? She's still a robot. She's still AI.
Yeah.
Of course she wouldn't.
She doesn't know what loyalty is.
Right, so
or whatever.
Yeah, and I still feel that she probably believes that if he lets her live, would he expect there to be a relationship there? I remember us kind of disagreeing on that point, but I feel like maybe she feels that there'd be some sort of ownership. Maybe she just doesn't trust him enough to believe that he will leave her.
Look at her he would never look at her like a person, and she knows that she's good enough to fool people. The only reason that he knows that she's not well, I don't know, but do you know what I'm saying? He would never be able to look at her for what she, who she really is.
She can't have someone else knowing the truth about her.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the whole thing could just be torn apart.
Yeah.
And what's great is that you think about if he would have just done this and then that, he could have gotten free. You know what I mean? It's thinking that this is an actual thing. It's not like a writer writing it in this way to make sure these things happen. You're like, oh, what? If he just stopped. She tells him to wait in that room. If he didn't listen to her, maybe he would have gotten away free. Or the other alternative, maybe he would have been stabbed. You don't know, quite sure.
Yeah.
You don't quite know. So there's really no sense in getting too far into it because Again, we talked about it at length, and I don't know, maybe it's on your list. I don't know, but yeah, I loved it. I love these characters. I loved Oscar Isaac. He was great, and again, it's like a character. The way Alex Garland approaches the character, you kind of expect him to be this evil dude, but he's more of a bro, and I think that's what really makes it work. Like,
yeah,
he kind of just wants to hang out with this Donald Gleason's character. He doesn't. He has no evil intentions other than what he's doing with these AIs, but he's like, "Hey man, check out my robots. Aren't they hot? You want to have sex with one of them? I have sex with one of mine." You know, he's just kind of like, it's that approach. And then of course, when Donald Gleason wants to kill him and stuff like that, then yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not gonna let that happen." But yeah, I love Oscar Isaac in this movie. I love Donald Gleason. And Alicia Vikander, just a revelation. You're just like, who is that?
Here I am.
You don't know her before
me.
This movie, right? Yeah, I love that. I love movies like where you don't really know an actress beforehand, but then this movie comes out and like, what would the world be like without Alicia Vikander? Like, my life has changed now. Knowing that she exists in this world, it's affected me, man. And I can't wait. She's gonna be starring with her boyfriend Michael Fassbender, who lucky son of a bitch.
Which one?
In Light Between Oceans, Derek Cianfrance's next movie. So that should be. Wonderful. She's still, and she might have an Oscar by the end of this month. So really excited for her. Really excited for her career. And at the same time, I'm also very excited for Alex Garland, directorial debut. He wrote 28 Days Later, wrote Sunshine. He's had the experience as a screenwriter, but here he is, directing his own feature, directing his own screenplay, and the fact that he's able to have such a visual touch to this, like have a really distinct visual approach, was really impressive. I was really impressed by that, and I think you get my hat. I'm not wearing a hat, but if I was wearing a hat, it would go off to Alex Garland for crafting such a great just sci-fi film. It's really a character piece. It's really about these three characters, and it's kind of like a game. Like they're trying to weave their way through. Mind games. Or literally, yeah. So
I really love it when you get like a lot of people think sci-fi and they think like, massive scale and big shit going on, and this is science fiction, but it's about these people that live in this world, in this fantastic world. But it's really about the characters, and when you can make a movie that is that good, that's science fiction, and like you're not looking twice at robots anymore because you just accept that because they've created that world so well. That's an awesome thing, and that's
I like.
Ex Machina.
I like I think about like Moon, Duncan Jones's Moon, a little bit, just like the kind of like an intense character study and like twists beyond twists behind the twists, and sci-fi, yes, but also very intimate. Like I like I think we talked about this like Under the Skin last year, kind of sci-fi, but also kind of its own beast entirely. So I hope to see more of these types of movies because like I don't consider myself a sci-fi nerd or anything like that, but like I am down with these types of this kind of like really a character exploration and kind of more of a thriller, but with these sci-fi elements that keeps it that has something to say about society and yada yada yada.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Number 8 is actually Ridley Scott's The Martian.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, this isn't one that's come up on the list or that you haven't mentioned yet.
Haven't mentioned it yet.
I'm not sure if it's on your list because it hasn't been mentioned yet. But this is a movie that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I don't know why I wasn't giving it its due credit. It's a really solid. It's a good movie. It's a great movie. Matt Damon is super likable in this movie. Technically, it's amazing. You kind of forget that this guy's like you totally suspend your disbelief, and he's just on Mars. And I was listening to an interesting discussion today where they were basically saying that Ridley Scott was being interviewed, and he was saying that The Martian is essentially a Western, and just imagining like pioneers in a stagecoach out in the West, surrounded by the unknown. How are they going to survive? But in this case, you've got this astronaut who's been left behind, who has nothing but his brain to get him out of this this hellish situation, and it never ceases to be entertaining. And there are some things like Childish Gambino. What's his name? Donald Glover, like the physics whiz kid, coming up with the like he's very Donald Glover in that movie. And then there are other things to it, but it's just forgivable because it's just that enjoyable of a movie for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not in my top 10. I'll say that right now. It's more. I think I have it about like 18 or 17. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a supremely enjoyable film. One of the great blockbusters of last year for sure. And yeah, I really enjoyed Donald Glover's performance because I like that he got to be Donald Glover in this movie. Right. I like that there was space for that, and I think it worked.
And it's kind of believable, like that some kind of nerdy physics kid who's just really good at math, and really eccentric, but like is cocky, and I don't know, it kind of fits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny because it could have easily went off the rails when he's explaining the whole thing, but I think his energy and everyone's kind of kind of nonplussed. They're kind of not really sure how to react to what he's doing. Yeah. But I think it worked. Yeah, I think you're right. I think I'm right, and I think that you're also right.
And aside from him, like the cast is really solid. Like we're talking about Donald Glover, who's like way down in the cast.
Yeah,
we've got Chiwetel Ejiofor, Kate Mara, Sean Bean, Michael Pena, Jeff Daniels, Kristen Wiig, Jessica Chastain, and of course Matt Damon. So yeah, it was just super entertaining and really enjoyable.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it's on your list. That we get to because also finally seeing Ridley Scott make a film. First time in a while where it's enjoyable on all fronts: story, cinematography, action. Probably one of the funnier Ridley Scott movies.
Yeah, has he ever made a movie kind of like this before?
I would say not exactly. I mean, Matchstick Men with Nicolas Cage is pretty funny. There are a lot of funny moments in Matchstick Men, in my opinion. Yeah, but that's more like a dark comedy, whereas this is, pretty, I wouldn't say broad, but like Matt Damon's commentary on like what's going on with him, I think really, and it really helps. It really helps you get immersed into it, actually, because here he is stuck on Mars, and he kind of helps you through it by helping himself. No. He kind of helps the audience get through that and enjoy that part. Enjoy him being stuck. Instead of... And you kind of want to see if he could pull off living there for a long time. Instead of like just waiting for people to pick him up. The part where we're waiting is actually a really entertaining part. Probably more entertaining. Probably the most entertaining part. I would even say that that's probably why it's not like top 10 material for me, because I felt like by the time they're rescuing him, it just, it was fun. It was, enjoyable. It was a feel-good ending. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the movie kind of it kind of took it down for me a peg. It became just a fun, enjoyable blockbuster instead of like a really like mind-blowing adventure. Not that I was expecting anything mind-blowing. Yeah. But I mean, like at the level that they were going at, I really enjoyed watching him succeed in finding a way to live on Mars, and like the method in which he tries to communicate back home is also fascinating. But once we all get through that, and once we get to like basically the third act, when they're gonna get him home. After Donald Glover explains how to do it, and they finally get to go and do that, I think that's when the movie, for me, kind of goes into, autopilot,
Yeah, but not in the, starts to coast.
Yeah, not in a bad like it's not in a way where it takes me out of it, but just like okay, it's gonna. At
that point in the movie, it gets a little predictable, don't you think?
Yeah.
All right. Well, now something bad's gonna happen, but then they're gonna come and rescue him. He's gonna make it home.
I mean, having said that, I mean, because we took a bit of a break between our first. Let's just be honest. Our first edition of our top 10 and our second edition, and which is going to make for a really clunky episode, but we'll get through it. But in the interim, I saw Brooklyn, and
oh, really?
Yeah, I did, and which is not in my top 10 anyway, but you know, more like around where Martian is. But like, it also has a kind of a predictable ending, and you kind of see it coming, and yet the way it happens and like the way it ends, even though I see it coming, it still hit me emotionally, which really elevated it for me, right? But for The Martian, which is still, I would put The Martian and Brooklyn like, you know, pretty close to each other as far as like how I rate them, and but I feel like The Martian, it was just a really solid ending. It wasn't for me. It wasn't like, oh wow, like it didn't really like get to me there. Looking back on it, I remember enjoying Matt Damon just getting to let loose a little bit and hang out and try to live on Mars. Yeah. That when I look back on it, having seen it like in October of last year, those are the moments that really stick out to me as him trying to make it on Mars. So I don't know. I mean, I still enjoyed it very much, and I don't have any problem with you having it in your top 10. Obviously, I think it's a great choice. Not that I would have any problem. Even I have a good taste, so I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna be like, hey, that's wrong. You're wrong. You know what I mean? But
one more thing I want to say about The Martian before we move on. I was just wondering if you could think of another movie where that did what The Martian did in the sense that with The Martian you have Matt Damon on his own, which kind of reminds you of Tom Hanks on his own in Castaway or Will Smith in I Am Legend. But at the same time, you can cut back to Earth and see what else is going on. With those movies, you're stuck in the now. You're stuck with them. You can't go back. So it's weird that the movie was able to kind of have those two things going on at the same time, like the rescue mission at home and then the survival on your own story on Mars. Can you think of any other movies that kind of do that on that kind of to that degree successfully?
As far as someone being like on their own completely,
yeah, like it's usually one or the other, right? It's you like this is the movie. He's by himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can't immediately think of any examples because, and usually what I think I guess the closest one would be Life of Pi, but even then, you're kind of like thrust into. I can't remember what the main character's story was in that, and main character's name, but you're kind of thrust into Pi, right? It says Pi, yeah. His name is fucking Pi, Ken. But like when he's stranded in the middle of the ocean, I got really sucked into his story. But then we cut to the older version of Pi telling the story to the guy who might make this into a book. Yeah. And those cutaways were like really jarring. It was like, whoa! I mean, I'm back to. It took me out of it. Whereas, I hate to criticize that film for that because, I mean, that's how the story was framed. Right. But like the shots in the ocean and all that were so beautiful and so immersive that once when we're back to his living room, it's like, oh my god! Like you're like, oh wait, yeah, okay, yeah, this story is being told to me like this. The Martian. I think because it never pretends that it's just going to be him on Mars. It never, and I also think that there's equal amounts of humor, and intrigue. I think you're as intrigued by them trying to get him home and him trying to survive.
Yeah, I think how they're going to get to each other.
Right. I think there's an equal amount of intrigue, and I think that's what makes it work. I think if it was like your standard like, hey guys, help me out here, and they're like, we're trying, cut back to the station, yeah, we're trying, cut back to Mars, and you're like, wait, I wanted to stay on Mars. But because I think what Drew Goddard did adapting the book. And I haven't read the book, but like how he was able to write this as an adaptation, I think he did a great job in making both sides of the story as interesting, at least up to at least for the first 2/3 of the film. Well, then they kind of coalesce, they kind of become one towards the end. But for 2/3 of the film, or even 3/4 of the film, maybe I think that's what makes it work. Is because both sides of the story are as equally entertaining. This is number 8 of Ken's list. Going from small indie from number 10 to more of a bigger budgeted indie, but still like what, $10-15 million. Now this is more of a traditional Hollywood type film. What else can I say? How else can I tease this film?
Tease me, Ken.
I will say that I'm going to tease it in a way that's very obvious. I guess you could say it stars a guy that stars an actor that America loves, one of the most lovable actors, that we all know about. You saw him in a movie where he offered people chocolates. You saw him in movies where he was in an island alone, and he's working with this director. They made movies together before. He and this director, they were in a movie where they saved this guy. His brothers were all dead, and they didn't want him to die, so they had to save him. And then
I wonder if I've seen that.
There's this movie where he has to catch this guy if he can. So now here we are. I don't think they made any movies since then. Oh yeah, he's in an airport. He lives in an airport. No one fucking saw that movie. The movie I'm talking about is. I think I saw half of it. I think it was on DVD in my grandma's house, and it's all right, I guess I'll watch the rest of this movie. Anyway, is Catherine Zeta-Jones in that movie? Is that his love interest? Is that who it was?
What?
No, it was Julie Roberts.
Catherine Zeta-Jones is in it.
Yeah, she's the love interest of this Russian guy. That was a weird. Weird movie.
It's a fake country that they make up. It's not Russia, but it's basically a Russian accent or whatever. I think that's my take, or whatever. I say whatever a lot.
Or whatever.
I've noticed that I've said it 3 times or whatever since we started this thing.
Or what have you. I feel like what have you and whatever is the same. It's kind of like the
same thing. Whatever, what have you.
So the movie The movie I'm talking about is Steven Spielberg's Bridge of Spies. Number 8 on my list. And, and what's great about this movie is just how classical it is. It has that feel of a really well-made Hollywood film. But it has something to say about the Cold War and people's heated reactions towards a Russian spy being captured in America and what that means. But what happens when one of our spies gets captured in Russia? Well, that happened, and just the negotiations that are involved in that. And you got the Coen brothers who co-wrote the rewrote the screenplay, and I do feel like it has those beats to and a lot of the dialogue. There's those Coen type beats that I love, and I think they really gave this film enough flavor not to have it feel kind of stale. Which the movie could have went that direction. It could have you have the good old not good old boy, but you had the good guy Tom Hanks playing the lawyer that no one people were rooting against, and you're of course. It's always funny when in a movie where people are hating on Tom Hanks' character because that's not going to last. He's going to win. He's going to win. He's going to win their hearts over or whatever. Or not, maybe not directly, but that's kind of what it does in this movie anyway. What I mean is that the Coen brothers, I think, injected this movie with enough flavor and I think there's a lot of funny scenes like when he goes to the German embassy, for example, or the Russian embassy in Germany, I think it was. And he has that rapport with he never really knows who he's talking to. I love that, and I love I just thought this was a really not just well made. I think it's just Steven Spielberg he shows you he's the fucking boss. He shows you why. Because it's just so elegant. It's just something so elegantly made about this film. It's kind of has like this, not to say cold. It has like this coolish type of like tone to it. Like the blues are kind of like navy-ish, bluish. You get a feel of what like think like the 50s of America has like this like shiny look to it, but then you enter East Germany, and like
gray.
just everything's gray and the color the way he plays with color palettes, but even like the opening sequence when the Russian spy played by Mark Rylance, that chase it's just fantastic. It's just in many ways it's like going home again when you're watching a Steven Spielberg movie and he's like he's doing everything right. You remember like, man, this is what it's like again to watch a Steven Spielberg movie where it's like it's really popping off. It's really popping. So I gotta say, I feel like because of that though, I feel like it was almost like a mark against it for some people. The fact that it's like, but I don't know, and some people were bored by it. I was never bored.
No way.
I really don't understand that because it's funny, it's powerful, and it's relevant to these times. It very much when he's arguing about the treatment of the Russian spy, how we should treat him in prison. You know what that's talking about. They got a little bit of a Guantanamo Bay. It's got a little bit of should we try terrorists on American soil? Like that, it has all that feel to it. So
it's asking those questions for sure.
Yeah, so I love this film, and it's Spielberg at his vintage best, Tom Hanks at his vintage best. And Mark Rylance, again, here's an actor who's been around for a long time, unlike Alicia Vikander, but it's the same kind of type of deal where it's like, if you didn't know him before this movie, you will know him afterwards because he really puts on quite a show, and it's very understated. And the fact that he's been able to get a lot of attention for kind of an understated performance, and yet understated but effective, just in the way he plays off Tom Hanks, he really holds his own. So. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. When I finish, what?
You feeling a little sick?
I think I've been healthy for 5 days in the year 2016. Remember that day I was going home from our day of cinema?
Yeah.
I was sick that day. I was, It's been like I've had maybe 5 days in a row, like last week where I was doing well, and then we moved to a new apartment in Garden Grove. And I don't know, I think the air or something like that. We don't have centralized heating here. We got heaters, but it's not centralized, So it gets cold when you wake up, and it's just not. I don't know. It's just it's February. It's not. It's still nice out most days, but But you know what? It's definitely nicer here than it is in East Germany in the 1950s. So that's my way of trying to get back to
your nice coat. You're trying to save people's lives. Don't you know who I am? I'm Tom Hanks.
That's right. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm gonna go ahead and refill my cup of water. So Justin, how do you feel about my pick?
I think that's a great pick, and I saw Bridge of Spies over the holidays when I had some time to just veg out and watch some movies, and loved it. Watched it all by myself. Sometimes it's good to just watch a movie all alone, and that was a good movie to just like. Do you know what I mean? It's different when you're watching a movie with like a big group of people, and then you gotta worry if I hope they're having a good time. I'm digging this, but maybe they're not, and it takes you out of it. No distractions when you're just watching a movie by myself. The phone goes off, and I'm just like, all right, Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, let's go. And now Mark Rylance is on my radar too, but. I loved that pick. That's a great pick. It didn't quite make my list. It's one of the many honorable mentions this year.
Do you see what I mean about
definitely a contender.
like I look at like the way it's made. I felt it was important to have it on my list, and because I really love the film, but here is a Hollywood film that has a strong message, strong themes, great characters, a fascinating story, all and it's well crafted by one of the masters of cinema, and it's like these types of movies could still be made by Hollywood. They still could be done, and like
it doesn't have to be. Yeah, I get what you're saying, man. It seems like it's like a classic. It could have been a classic. It could have been a movie that they made, many years ago.
Yeah, like the 50s or 60s, maybe not. Like,
and it does nothing poorly. That movie, everything that it's doing well.
Exactly. So
the message that it's trying to say.
Yeah, and I think because it has like a message, it kind of has that. It does have a modern relevance to it. I think that's what kept it like in my heart. Like looking back, I'm like, yeah, I love Bridge of Spies, and I really wish we do. I wish we do. I wish we can do a thing of Spielberg one of these days because he deserves like his own series of shows, like his own series of episodes. Because you could talk about his style, you could talk about just his mark the mark that he's left in Hollywood and in movies is indelible. It's irreplaceable. It's the look of Hollywood. It wouldn't be what it is today without Jaws in 1975 and like the use of CGI in Jurassic Park and just I feel a little choked up.
He's a hero.
But so
Indiana Jones, Saving Private Ryan,
right? Schindler's List.
Schindler's List, yeah. We should devote an episode to Spielberg for sure. Do like maybe top 10 Spielberg movies,
something like that.
Maybe we could time it up with whatever he's doing next. Do you know? Does he have anything slated for 2016?
He does, in fact. He's adapting a Roald Dahl film, right? A Roald Dahl novel.
Oh, the BFG.
Yeah.
The BFG, yeah. Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. And that's going to be... Is that going to be animated? Or
no, it's live action.
Live action. All right. All right, cool. Sign me up.
All right, I will. Sign the line. All right, what's number 7?
My number 7 is Carol.
Carol. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I finally, I've been meaning to see this movie for the longest time, and I think you'll be pleased to know that I went to the theater and, bought a ticket and sat down and actually watched this movie. So I went to the movies. I drove through the rain. It was a shitty day, but I went to the theater and I saw Carol. I missed like 5 minutes of it because I had to run out and feed the meter because for whatever reason, this movie theater only had street parking, and the street parking only had an hour limit. It doesn't make sense on the parking meter, so hopefully I didn't miss anything major. But yeah, finally caught up with it, and just really, really incredible performances from Rooney Mara, who I've never really seen. Like she's the lead in this movie. It's weird to me that she's being nominated for like a supporting role, because if anyone's a supporting role in here, it's Cate Blanchett. It's like 1 and 1B, you know what I mean? But it was just really cool to see a movie where it's a period piece and it's about 2 women, but it's not like making that more than it needs to be. You know what I mean? They're not like talking about how society at the time didn't approve of that, and like there are characters in the movie that voice their disapproval, but it's not like that's like a major theme. I guess I haven't had too much time to really sit and process it, because like as I'm saying that, I'm remembering that that is one of the major themes, like husband and all that. But even then, it's not so much about like homophobia, because I guess maybe that hasn't really reached at that point in the 50s.
Not for lesbianism. Lesbianism in the 50s was more especially with like
sexism.
Well, like because of like
trivialized it a little bit, right?
Yeah, like housewives. It was treated as like a form of hysteria. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but go on.
But yeah, it was just interesting to see these 2 actresses just take this slowly paced movie and just kind of take it piece by piece, and it doesn't end with toward the end I'm wondering how is this going to wrap up? Like, is she going to commit suicide? Is something like that going to happen? Because like I feel like that's the movie that we've expected, or that we've come to expect, and it turns out that it has pretty much a happy ending, an open-ended ending. Comes back to that meeting in the the restaurant or the hotel or whatever, wherever they are, and you get to see them kind of look at each other and smile. And I don't know, it was cool. It was really cool to see Rooney Mara in this movie, and Cate Blanchett's always a delight. I love Cate Blanchett. So yeah, I loved Carol.
Let's move on.
You didn't like Carol?
Ugh.
Talk to me.
Let's just move on from that fucking film.
I want to know what you have to say about it.
No, I'm not gonna do it. You want to know why?
Why?
You want to know why I'm not gonna talk about it now? Because I'm gonna talk about it later. No, like there's a lot to dive in to Carol, and I thought I teased it enough for you that I kind of made you see the film in a way.
I don't remember what you said.
What?
I don't remember how you teased me or whatever.
Well, no, I was kind of waiting for you to see the film so that we can finish our top 10. So that might mean something, man. I'm saying moving on because if I start talking about it, it's gonna.
Oh, no, I thought you were saying that you didn't like it.
No. I was saying moving on as I don't want to spoil my number, whatever number it's gonna be. So number seven. I'm looking at the title of it right now on my note.
Oh God, please tell me.
On my notepad. It is Charlie Kaufman and Duke Johnson's Anomalisa. And yeah, this is a fantastic film. It's funny because it's nominated for Best Animated Feature, but Inside Out is going to win. It has no chance. But this was the film that affected me more because of what it's about. And I don't really know if I can tell you. I don't know what I can say. It's about a guy, and that's all. No, okay. But basically, it's about a guy who has to do is he has to speak at a convention of some sort, and he's in Cincinnati, Ohio. And it really just he goes about his day in his hotel room, and, it's about the people that he meets, and, he meets someone special, and, I feel like I have to remain vague because there's a key element to this movie, and hopefully you'll see it next week. Maybe I'll reopen up. If it doesn't make your top 10, I'll talk more in depth about it. But,
okay.
The way it opens up, the way it unfolds, and you begin to realize, that's why it's animated. You don't realize, that there's a reason behind it. You're just okay, well, yeah, it's of course, why not? But the way this movie plays with form, and I think I've talked about this before, that's what blew me away about this movie, is just because it's not just an animated film, and there's such a strong intent behind it that it kind of elevates it to a new plateau, and it's one of those things where it's fucking Charlie Kaufman, only he could think of doing something like this, and kind of playing with the whole idea of being in a world like this. It's not quite real. It's not quite what you think it is. There's something off about it, and from almost nearly the beginning, there's something's not quite right, and you begin to understand why. And it really, it's not just playing with form just to mess with audiences, but there's a real thematic, personal, emotional connection that's being made here.
Yeah.
And it's really profound. And even though it's a simple movie where there's really not much to it, but what it brings to the table, what it says about people, and about getting older, and the way we treat people, the way we take people for granted, the way relationships work, the evolving of relationships, how that works, and just all of that just narcissism. It's about, in a way, it's about narcissism. It's about being obsessed with yourself. It's not realizing it. You're obsessed with you. You don't even realize it. You live in this world where you think it's all about you, and then you come to realize that's how you think, and you can't get yourself out of that realm of thinking. It's very profound. It's very emotional. Even though it's kind of cold, but it's cold but emotional because it's cold, because of its coldness. Because you're like, it's the feeling of wanting to connect, which is something that Charlie Kaufman's been writing about, since being John Malkovich. Like, these characters wanting to be someone else, wanting to, adaptation. It's about, like, not being able to maintain artistic integrity, or with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is probably his most profound movie still. When you go back to your memories, like realizing why you fell in love in the first place, and this idea of wanting to connect, wanting to make a connection with somebody, feeling alone, how it feels to be alone, for loneliness. I'm not being articulate, I know that, but just he gets those. He just cracks. He cracks, like, the meaning behind, like, you kind of realize, like, it makes you feel better about, like, who you are. I think, I don't know if you listened to his podcast episode with, like, Mark Maron. They really.
I wanted to watch the movie first before I listened to them talk about it.
Like, because first of all, like, Mark Maron talks about, like, Charlie Kaufman's career as a TV writer. And, like, what is he? Because I don't know if you know, but Carl Kaufman used to work on the Dana Carvey show, which was a very brief.
Colbert and Colbert and Steve Carell were on that show too, right?
Yeah, that's basically how they got officially got their TV careers going, was on that show, and like the writing, the writers on that show was insane. You got Robert Smigel, Louis C.K. was the head writer. Who else?
Now, Dana Carvey, I was reading The Late Shift. Weren't they trying to get that show to be like the new Letterman? The new late night show?
The Dana Carvey show?
Like the new show after... Yeah, because Letterman was leaving NBC to go to CBS, and they needed somebody to replace...
no, I think they talked about Dana Carvey being a possibility, but no, Jay Leno was always kind of... I think maybe
not the Tonight Show,
but the late night show. Late night. Yeah, I think maybe Dana Carvey was in talks for that, but it might have fallen through because Dana Carvey's show was on...
Oh, yeah, because it wound up going to Conan, that's right.
No, Dana Carvey's show was on ABC, and ABC wanted to do... Okay. And Dana Carvey, what did you want to do? And Dana Carvey was like, I want to do a sketch show. That's what I do. I don't really want to be myself, so...
Yeah.
But anyway, Mac Maron talks to Charlie Kaufman about, he wrote on the show... and his experiences, and just like it's just funny hearing Charlie Kaufman talk about like his past experiences, and just talk about himself, because you listen to Charlie Kaufman, it's like, man, he is who he writes about. Like, there's no separation there. Like, he's not like, oh yeah, I'm Charlie Kaufman. Yeah, I write these crazy characters. He's like really just like intense, and you're like you feel nervous hearing him talk, because like he's just so. He is so that what he writes about, like he's so real, and like you would probably have an awkward time talking to him. Anyone would, because he's kind of an awkward guy.
Mark Maron, who's like really good at talking to everybody.
Yeah, they had it was a fantastic conversation, and it's Mark Maron, he seemed to really want to talk about the Dana Carvey show because he knows all those guys. He knows Louis. Right. He always I feel like he always mentions Louis C.K. and all of his. I wonder how Louis C.K. feels about that. Could you imagine if I had a podcast with somebody else and I always talked about you?
Just might be a little strange.
Oh yeah, Justyn Moore. Justyn Moore lives in Morristown too. Oh, who's Justyn Moore? Oh no, he's a guy. No, you know what I mean. You're like, Ken, I know we're friends and everything, but this is getting kind of weird. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
because you know that there's the weird friendship dynamic between Louis and Mark, and I think, doesn't he when Louis has that interview with Marc Maron. I think they talk about the dynamics of their friendship. But yeah, he does definitely come up quite a bit. But I mean, if he was a head writer on the Danny Carver show, then that's not much of a stretch, I guess.
I know, but
Marc Maron's a great interviewer.
I know, but I love Marc Maron. I just think it's funny because I feel like every podcast I've listened to, he mentions Louis at least twice. I feel like. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but
I think that's probably the average.
I just think it's funny. It's kind of endearing in a way, but I wonder if Louis C.K. gets creeped out about it because I mean, like,
maybe.
For Louis, it's just it's a comic friend. It's just his friend. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, it's Marc Maron. You know, it's just Mark. It's for him. It's like it's Mark. You know, it's just
right.
It's just his friend that he's known for a long time. And Marc Maron's like, oh yeah, Louis. You know, when he does his show, you know, like it's you're like, oh boy, here we go again. You know, I think it's out of love, but like it's just like. There's a fine line between love and obsession, I think. You know, that's all I'm saying.
Sure.
But yeah, and I want to reopen the floor because when you do see it, because
we could talk more. We could talk more in depth and get into spoiler territory.
Right. Okay. So that's my number 7.
Right, cool.
Lisa, Charlie Kaufman, Justyn. What's your number 6?
Ex Machina.
All right, cool. So let me hear what you have to say.
Well, I mean, we talked a lot about it already, but I think one thing we didn't talk about is the year that Domhnall Gleeson has had, and it all started with this movie early in the year. I'm looking at the cast for this movie, and I don't know who Alicia Vikander is. I know she's got a pretty face. I hope she can act. And I know who I know who Oscar Isaac is because I love him. You know, he made me fall in love with him last year. So I already know who Oscar Isaac is. And then here's this guy from Harry Potter, who's trying to, I guess, do big boy roles now. All right, I'll bite. I'll check it out. This science fiction movie, and I've heard good things. And everybody delivers. You're locked in this house, in this high-tech futuristic house, with these 3 characters, and you don't ever really get tired of any of them. It's nice to see Alicia Vikander. It's nice to meet her and see what she is capable of. And yes, she can act. And Domhnall Gleeson, he can act too. Damn well. And Oscar Isaac, of course he delivers. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to pull something out of my ass that we didn't already talk about. But I liked. It's gonna get repetitious. I love that. It's. We were talking about a lack of sci-fi. I think like last year, maybe around the time Interstellar. We're like, what's going on? Why is science fiction just not a genre that people appreciate anymore? It used to be such a big deal, and every once in a while you get a movie that whatever. But this one, it kind of just it was super refreshing to watch a movie that kind of reminded me of like stuff that Kubrick would do, where you're just like. This is where you are for this movie. Like, pay attention because this is all I don't know. It just felt heavier. It felt like you know what I mean. It's kind of hard to explain, but sometimes you watch a movie and it's just like, whoa. And I definitely got that with this. It picks up right away. Before you know it, he's walking up to this enclosure where he meets Ava, and they're talking and. Very quickly, you're saying there's something sinister going on here, and it just doesn't let you go until
it almost felt like a con movie, like someone being conned. You know what I mean? Like you don't really you can't really trust any of these characters or what their real motives are all throughout.
Right. You were talking about Oscar Isaac's character as being a bro, yeah, but at the same time. Is he an act? Is he just fucking with this guy? Is he twisted because he lives out here all by himself and he's surrounded by these, these beings that he creates? What's like the God complex for him? Like he must have an ego, just enormous. So, is he just manipulating everybody that he ever meets because he can? Because he's that smart? So, I don't know. It's you're always wondering. You can never just relax and watch the movie. You have to always kind of second guess everything. And yeah, like Gleason's character is the one who's being conned.
Yeah,
but the
because you think
too.
you think it's going to be Oscar Isaac, but it's not. It's Ava. It's Alicia Vikander. It really kind of pulls the rug from under you.
Yeah.
In many ways.
Yeah, because all along you want Gleason's character to save her, and really she knows damn well what she's doing all along. And it's funny because it's like it's fitting that it's the no name, the character or the actress that you've never seen before. She's the one who's got her shit together, who's gonna take advantage of these familiar faces. So I don't know. I thought that was another element that was pretty cool to it.
But the characters he's played, they have it rough. He's like, you gotta give it to him. He plays these characters who are just like they're never gonna win. They're never gonna going back last year with Frank. He's always the guy that he's doing it wrong. Whatever his character's doing, it's wrong. And he's gonna either he's gonna die or he's gonna lose out. He was in Brooklyn this year, which I saw, and he's the guy that she doesn't pick. Not to spoil it, but that's what fucking happens. You see it coming. I'll just say that, but it just all I have to tell you is if I say oh yeah, Brooklyn's about this woman who she falls in love with a guy in New York, but she goes back home for a little while and she may have feelings for this guy in Ireland. You're like, oh, who plays the guy in Ireland? Donald Gleason? Oh, he has no chance. Oh, yeah,
Donald
okay,
Gleason.
well, never mind. So, that's kind of how it's been for him. What else has he been in? He's been in
Star Wars is General Hux, and he doesn't have the Force or whatever, so it's going to be got Adam Driver.
I almost feel like Adam Driver's. I bet you Adam Driver's Kylo Ren. I bet he's the one who kills him. I feel like I want him to die, but by his own people. That's what I want to happen. Is that because it's that's the Domhnall Gleeson way of dying in a movie is.
Yeah, gotta be double crossed.
That's what it is. He's always double crossed. He thinks I hope he gets it this time. Nope. And
yeah. And then with the Revenant,
shit.
He's it's him, Tom Hardy, and
I guess he doesn't die in that way. I think he does okay in that one, doesn't he?
I think he dies.
Does he die?
Doesn't he die?
He probably does.
At the end, Leo and Domhnall Gleeson go out to get Tom Hardy because he's on the run,
right? And
Tom Hardy comes out from behind the rock or whatever, and they're Gleason's on his horse or something, and he shoots him dead.
Oh yeah, you're right. And then he oh my god, that's so.
And then Leonardo DiCaprio uses his body to trick. Doesn't he trick him?
Yeah, I think so.
He props him up on the horse or something like that. Yeah,
it's funny. It's kind of like how when Steve Buscemi used to be in all of the Coen Brothers movies, but every movie he would be in, they'd kill him off. That's Domhnall Gleeson just this year in several different directors' movies. That's how it's been for him. Yeah,
he's been kind of all over the place though. It's really cool to see a star coming of age, not in a Hollywood heartthrob star type of way,
right.
But just a great actor that we can expect to see in great things in years to come. A young, great young actor. We've got Domhnall Gleeson, Oscar Isaac, Hardy, Fassbender. We've got a lot of great young actors coming along. Michael B. Jordan. It's cool to see.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess I should go into. That
leads us to your number 6, right?
I got a feeling this is going to be on your list. I think. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. But for a while, when this movie came out, and it's amazing what came out since the movie came out, that it's number 6 now. Because when it came out, I was like, damn, this might be it. This might be the movie, of the year.
I know what it is.
No, you don't. Fine, you probably do. But I don't know. I'm gonna give you teases that you're never gonna figure this out. But it kind of goes into the drug cartels of Mexico. Benicio del Toro's in it. He's been in a lot of movies this year, so you still have no idea.
Oh, I thought you were talking about The Big Short.
Really?
No.
Ah!
I got you.
You got me. You. It's the movie is okay. I like teasing, but
you're a bully. You like teasing.
I know. My movie is Denis Villeneuve's Sicario. Shot by Roger Deakins, starring Emily Blunt, co-starring Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro. We've talked about this movie before. It is fantastic. I've seen it twice. How is it number 6? Because the top 5 is fucking insane. Like, this is number 1 of my bottom 5. Like, it's number 1, right?
Yeah.
It's number 1 of tier 2. My top 5 are movies that are just fucking. They would be like, it's almost like if we were to do top 10 of 2010s again, my top 5 could all be in that list. That's how good my top 5 is for me. Sicario, there's not really anything to go against. There's no knock against it as far as it being number 6. It's just those top 5, they're just that much better, in my opinion. Yeah. But anyway, to get into the movie itself, you know, it surprised me to see how it really hasn't stuck with people. At least like whoever handles the awards or what have you. It got a couple of Academy nominations for technical stuff. But this is a really well-crafted thriller that we don't really get that much these days. And the only real big-time director who makes thrillers these days, and they're good, is David Fincher. You know, and it makes me so happy to see Villeneuve really come along and really show that he has the goods too. And this is the movie that, like, you know, he has a movie coming out this year, Story of Your Life, I believe, and like he's shooting Blade Runner 2 this year. On top of that, and I love how prolific he is so far. So I would say the verdict's still out on him as far as, because I feel like I'd said it before in the episode that we did. This was the perfect vehicle for Villeneuve's style, because it is kind of like single-minded, but there's a reason for that. You know, it's and the way it unfolds when Emily Blunt realizes like why they're really using her, you know, what she's really in for, and when the POV shifts from Emily Blunt's to Benicio del Toro's, that is some pretty that's cinema. I mean, and I think that's why it's like 6, because like, I love this movie. I really love it because of how cinematic and like just purely from a thriller standpoint, how much the nuts and the bolts just really come together and it all works in a fantastic way. And like the last third of the film, I mean, it starts out in the tunnel. I feel like from the tunnel to the end, it's like one long like short film in itself. The way that starts, because you could understand the characters, the dynamics, just from the last 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So, because, you know, like, you have that one unnamed soldier, or whoever he was, who's like, he tells Emily Blunt's character and like her partner, like, do not fucking, you know, if you see, don't shoot. You never fucking shoot. Like, he drops F-bombs every couple of words. And he's like, you don't fucking do this unless you say so. And, you know, like, this guy really has no respect for these guys because they're just police officers. And it's interesting, the hierarchy of, like, the CIA, like, agents and, like, the people who work for them, the military who work for them. And, like, these are just police officers. Like, they're not respected. You know, none of these characters respect them, really. Josh Brolin's character, Del Toro, they just think they can be used, and like they kind of are. Mm-hmm. They're you see just how naive they are. They despite the work that they do, they really don't know shit, and we don't know shit. Yeah. You know, in turn, and is the movie? I think the movie is a strong film as far as like how it depicts the world of Mexico and these drug cartels and all that. Would I say it's all about that? No, but it's there. You know what I mean? And like the final shot, I mean, it's hard not to feel something, but when that final shot comes, when they're playing soccer or football, and you hear shots in the background, you know what the movie's trying to say. I really do feel like the movie does have a strong message to it, but I think what really makes the movie work is because it's such a well-crafted and well-made thriller. It's tense. It really, not just the final half hour, but the scene where they're in the SUV, they're trapped in the border. That's a whole drawn-out sequence. The movie has a lot of drawn-out sequences that pay off brilliantly, and I love that. I wish there was more of that. Like, yes, tease me along. Let me wonder what's going to happen. I don't need it right away. Take me along this ride for a while before you get to like oh shit, they're going to shoot. What are they going to shoot? Like that. That kind of feeling to it. Kind of reminded me of Catherine Bigelow's The Hurt Locker, when they're in the desert and they don't know, are they going to get shot at? Who are they going to shoot? Who are they waiting for? Like that scene, or when he's that first time Jeremy Renner in Hurt Locker, when he's trying to not detonate, but detach that bomb, and it takes forever. Yeah. And you're like, oh fuck, what are you doing? Like that kind of thing. I love that.
Yeah.
And so, and I would say, like, if Catherine Bigelow made more movies, I would say that she and Fincher both make great thrillers, but Villeneuve really came along in a big way here, and it's exciting to see him kind of Sicario. It really is kind of a Hollywood movie in some ways, and again, to see a kind of a newer director make a really well made Hollywood-ish type film with real message and what have you. I think it's again, it excites me for the future to have this director. I want to see what he does next, and I'm glad for this movie to have come out and make the impact that it did on me, having seen it twice. And this is a movie I said heaven knows what I wouldn't want to see again anytime soon. Sicario, I could watch this movie once a month, I think. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those things where I have to get the popcorn. I have to I have to set the mood right first. But I can't wait to watch this again. Like, just buy I haven't bought the Blu-ray or anything like that yet, but to buy it and just sit down and just have a nice evening, and I feel like I could watch it with people and they would enjoy it. I feel like pretty much everyone who's seen it, I feel like, as far as people I know, they've enjoyed it. I mean, there's some people who don't love the depiction of Emily Blunt's character. We talked about that. They feel like, because people want more female characters. They want more actresses to star in films and have their own film. But then there's all these politics that go along with dissecting these movies. It's like, well, why is she depicted this way? Why she should have been depicted this way instead? And it's like, that's not what this movie's about. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's that difficulty that goes along. Again, like with Room, or with Ex Machina, people had problems with Alicia Vikander's character. And it's like, what, I don't even know. I don't want to drag it out to that, but I'll just say that I love this movie, and Emily Blunt being the star is a brilliant casting choice, and I think it's important that she's a woman because she still has sexuality in some ways. It's not overt at all, but she still has that scene with John Bernthal where I love that scene because I love seeing her let loose and try to have a little bit of fun. And she still gets fucked over a little bit. She turns out okay eventually, but I liked that the movie had time for that. Because a lot of thrillers, they don't have time for that. Everyone's sexless and they don't have any interest in anybody. But I like that Sicario, without making it a love interest or a long-term type thing like that, or even the relationship between her and her partner. Please, I can't remember what his name is, but I liked that. Oh, yeah. They gave us a little bit of that, right, without really adding a romantic element to it. They just showed you what it's like when she lets her hair down a little bit, and I love that. And I feel like that's why you gotta love this movie. You gotta love Emily Blunt in it, and it's important that that's in there. You know, it's just there's so many great things about this movie, and it's unbelievable. 2015 is such a fucking crazy year because this is number 6, and the amount of movies that have come out this year. The fact that a movie like this could get like overlooked is kind of, I don't know. It's kind of amazing. It's kind of, I don't. It's unbelievable that a movie like this could get overlooked. But then a lot of great movies this year, including movies that aren't on our lists, are being overlooked. Maybe next week we'll talk about our honorable mentions. That way we can, you know,
yeah,
they deserve to be talked about too. But yeah, Sicario number 6.
Yeah, it's such a great year. And I was going to ask you, you know, what you think goes toward a movie like Sicario that we both loved it when we first, you know, when we got back from seeing it and talking about it, and now it's just being overlooked. And I'm surprised. You know, when I was done putting my movies together, I kind of hopped online to see what some other common movies were for like the other people's top 10s. And I didn't see it very much.
Yeah, it's really not.
It's just confusing.
Yeah,
it's like I thought it was good. Wasn't it good? I thought it was good.
Yeah, I mean,
it's definitely good.
The Rotten Tomatoes score was like in the 90s. I mean, it did okay in the box office. I think it was like $40-50 million in the box office. Not bad, you know, for the type of movie that it is. So I don't know, but I wish if the Oscars would have nominated Benicio del Toro for Best Supporting Actor, at least, they wouldn't be. Yeah. They would have had. They would have been at least that much shit. At least there's one Mexican actor in the 20 nominees, but they didn't even. You can't even have that because they didn't do that. So it's because he was fantastic in this movie, and like I love Sylvester Stallone. I love you, but you know I'll take Del Toro's performance over. I don't want to be like that, but I just feel like Del Toro is so fucking amazing in this film, and he must not be forgotten. And Emily Blunt too, but Del Toro, the way he takes over this movie, he was in Che. That was like 8 years ago, right? I mean,
yeah,
you haven't really seen him just do his thing like this. I mean, Inherent Vice, he has a small part, but like it kind of reminds you like. Give Benicio del Toro his own fucking movie. You know what I mean? Like, why can't he just be a star like Leonardo DiCaprio? You know, he has a foreign type last name like DiCaprio does. DiCaprio's more Italian, but you know what I mean? Like, Benicio del Toro and Leonardo DiCaprio, they should be in a movie together. I don't think they have been. You know what I mean? Just like fucking.
Yeah, he's somebody that I think we kind of have taken for granted.
Yes,
he's just always been there.
But why is he? You know? He's not really a star anymore. You know, he's not. He should be.
Was he ever a star? Like a star?
He's always been like.
He seems like he was always on the side.
He's always like a movie.
Kicking ass.
For people who love movies, he's like, whoa, Benicio del Toro was in this movie, you know. But I don't think he's ever like. I don't think his name alone has ever like made people want to go see a movie. But like, you see him in like Traffic, or you see him in even like Usual Suspects. He's not like he doesn't have a huge role in that. But you see him in these movies, or 21 Grams. He's got all these great movies that he's been in, and he's always great in them. But Sicario, I feel like, is like if you were to like highlights, you know, like Traffic, Che, Sicario, like that. It's like that third. What would you call it? Like third marking, you know, that like
tier.
Yeah, I don't want to say tier because like I would have put it below, you know, but like I would say like.
Okay.
If you were to say, like, I want to get into Benicio del Toro, what movies did I see? I'd be like, Traffic, both Che movies, and then Sicario, absolutely. Because I feel like with those 3 movies, you really get a sense of how amazing of an actor he can be. And Sicario is a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and they use that. They kind of use his age a little bit to kind of like... Cause
he's definitely the... like old, like you're not sure what his story is, but you know he's got experience, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like when like later on in Paul Newman's career. I'm thinking like Road to Perdition, when Paul Newman kind of like gets shit done at like age 80 or whatever, however old he was. You're like, damn, yes. Paul Newman, do that again. Like, yes, or like Clint Eastwood, old Clint Eastwood, like, kind of being a badass, like Unforgiven even. He was what, like 60 at least. He's still pretty fucking old. He's even older now, but he was like 60 when Unforgiven came out. Going in there and like getting shit done, like, yes, Eastwood, old Eastwood, do that shit. Benicio del Toro is like not even 50 yet, but like, it's just nice to see like someone you've seen who's been a badass before come along, and like they're older, and like their age is kind of part of the story, and here they are, and they're gonna.
It's cool to see.
The movie kind of culminates that scene at the dinner table, right, with the Mexican family, and
sure.
There he is with the gun in his hand, and sitting down, and what he chooses to do, you know what I mean? Like, he kills the kids, he kills the wife before he kills the husband. He has to know that his wife or children are dead before he dies. That is some cold fucking blooded stuff. That's why I say it's such a well-made thriller. You know what I mean? Because, like, do you really need that scene to, like, make a point about drugs and drug cartels? No. You don't really need that to... But, goddamn, when you're watching it, you're like, oh... You're just, like, glued to your seat, and, like... The movie...
You can't breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just... in, like... Almost, like, in a classical way, like, the way we love thrillers, this movie works in that kind of way. Just, like... It does all the things that you want a thriller to be, and then it goes beyond that. And that's what I have to say about Sicario.
And that's all I have to say about that. I loved Sicario, and we might talk about it a little more. I don't know. I see. I can tease too, Kenny.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, looking at. Benicio del Toro, you talking about him never really being the guy. I guess aside from Che, that's true. He hasn't really been the star of the show. And looking at what he's got coming up, he's going to be in a Terrence Malick movie with Ryan Gosling and Natalie Portman and Michael Fassbender and all that. But I mean, who knows how much screen time he's going to get since it is Terrence Malick.
Yeah.
He's also going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy, the next movie, and he's going to be He's the new bad guy in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, okay, that's cool. But yeah, I remember like, oh my god, he's gonna be in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, and it's like he just has there's just one sequence where he's in, and he's like, I don't know, like he doesn't really get
small.
Doesn't really have much to do, does he? I don't know.
Yeah, he plays this guy, the Collector.
I almost don't. I don't love that role for him. It's like that's the role you give him. That's like. Give that stuff to fucking, like, I don't know, Stanley Tucci or something like that. Like, I love Stanley Tucci. I'm just saying, like, give it to someone who, like, I appreciate in those small roles. Or, or... Don't you want to see, like, Steve...
I thought...
Sorry, go ahead.
I kind of thought that his role in Inherent Vice would be bigger just because his character is kind of the sidekick in the book. But... There's so much in that movie, you can't, it would be way too long. Yeah, so that's it, man. That's 10 through 6. And next week we'll do top 5.
Let me see if I can do this.
At least what?
Let me see if I can do this, alright? I'll give you one line of dialogue preview. I might make this up. I might be making this up. Of my top 5. Ready? Ready?
I'm ready.
Wait, how do I do this? No dialogue, no dialogue. Just sounds. Here are some sounds of my top 5. Ready?
Okay.
Go.
Ready.
And then, oh wow! And then, and then, I don't know. Are there any sounds in... I don't know. That didn't work out well. I just wanted to play with that, but yeah.
I definitely know one of them.
I think you know one of them. I think I gave away at least one of those, but
yeah, for sure.
The good news is,
was that all 5, or was that
that was 5?
Like a couple.
I couldn't.
That was all 5.
There were
right.
like one or two of them. I couldn't really think of a good sound to pick, but. That was stupid. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry you had to hear that. I'm going to leave it in. I'm not cutting that out because you know what? I made a decision. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. Sometimes it happens.
we got to wrap it up. It's 3:30, and I got to work tomorrow.
Like a penis that is about to go inside a prostitute.
It's about to have sex.
Vagina.
We got to wrap it up.
We should wrap it up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Top 5. Try to do it next week.
Yep.
And
next week, yeah, we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, and I hope you see those movies that you want to see. Otherwise, I don't know what we're gonna do. I think we're just gonna have to put on rerun instead. That's how it works, right? we'll just repeat everything we said this week.
Okay.
All right. So yeah. So we'll see you guys next week, and enjoy your lives, I guess.
Talk to you later.
This is The Long Take. Bye-bye.
Bye.